Hi, welcome to another AI webinar from the Hitchhiker's Guide for Educators Tech Talks. I'm Amanda Fox, your host, and I'm excited you decided to hitchhike your way with us today through not only tech tools, but the pedagogy and strategies behind them. Today's episode takes a look at a fun way to engage and excite students with writing using the platform We Will Write. If you haven't heard of it yet, you're in for a treat. It's fairly new and in beta, and I can't wait for you to see a demo of it in action. Joining us today, we have Daniel Senn from We Will Write. He's the founder. So thank you for joining us today. I would love to hear more about why you developed and launched We Will Write and your inspirations kind of behind the platform.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Nice to meet you. My name is Daniel Senn. I'm the founder of We Will Write, and I'm also the dad and educator behind a Learn to Read game called Poem. Because 10 years ago, I embarked on a journey of trying to help my own son learn how to read. So he was born with a severe hearing problem, and I was told that he would need extra assistance to keep up with other kids. However, experts also told me that motivating young children to practice reading is very hard, and that adults who push the learning early often make matters worse, resulting in negative learning spirals and lots of confidence. So together with my family, we engaged in a fun project to crack the reading code through play, and where my son's ideas were the main inspiration to a method that is now called Poem. It was a huge success in Scandinavia, helping hundreds of thousands of children to read. And in 2019, Kahoot acquired the game. So that was a very nice experience. I was part of the Kahoot team for a while. So the last 10 years, I've kind of learned a lot about how to help children to read and to write. And being close to the Kahoot teacher community, I also learned a lot about the importance of classroom engagement and how difficult that is with a diverse set of children. So that's kind of my background to being in EdTech for the last decade. And the last 2 years, 2 years ago, I started exploring We Will Write concept, as you will see today. I spent a year in classrooms actually with different prototypes. And this spring we had a pilot. And this fall we have a closed beta here in the US. And we plan to launch We Will Write next year. So that's kind of where I came from and what we're doing. And our main mission is to help teachers to create a great classroom culture for writing and make it easy for teachers to write.
This isn't your first EdTech rodeo. You had involvement with Kahoot, which was one of my favorite tools. I know educators who are tuning in, you guys are very familiar with Kahoot and probably use it in your classroom. And one of the things I love about this platform that you're going to see is it has some of the same gamification features that Kahoot has, but with writing. And like as a ELA teacher at heart, having spent most of my teaching years in an English literature classroom, why didn't you develop this when I was in the classroom? It's just such an amazing tool. And writing is one of the more difficult things to teach or to get students excited about. You have these timed writings and these activities, and students kind of like groan. But I really think that We Will Write they would have been asking for this instead of groaning about it. So I'm going to quit talking and kind of let you know and share a little bit of how We Will Write works.
Yeah, I think it would be nice if I show the platform. It's quite easy to play around with, and then I can maybe take some questions, talk a little bit about our philosophy behind it afterwards. So I'll start presenting it here. If I go to present, share the
screen. That's awesome, Heather. Heather says the students are excited and are asking to use We Will Write. And I think that's going to be the classroom culture change that you're going to see with writing. Once you start integrating We Will Write into your classroom, students aren't just going to want to write. They're going to ask for it. They're going to ask for this platform to facilitate these writing sets.
Yes, and that's when you're in that position, when they ask for it, then it's much easier to kind of help them understand more about writing. So this is the portal I've kind of logged in. I can see I have my class in the corner there, my name, and it basically shows you a lot of pre-made content. with a banner up in the top, and I can scroll down and I can see a lot of different lists with different. So there's some introduction sets for different grades, and I can go, for example, I can go to this section which is about storytelling, and I can look at, for example, story starters, and each set is based on several challenges, and we call them challenges because kids find it more interesting than a task. So, but it's basically the same. And for each challenge, we also have some tips, so we can click on them and see how we kind of guide the kids when they start writing. And I can go back again and look at other things, and that's another set. So this is basically quite easy to browse and find some inspiration, and we will continue add content here. So
and I love that it focuses on fiction, nonfiction, exposition, genre, mood, like all the things that you teach for as a reader to identify in a story. Now they're applying it through their own writing.
Yeah, so we have, this is, for example, some nonfiction, but with a humoristic perspective on it. And we have some, here is some more kind of social issues. So, but I'll just take some creative writing tasks to let you see what it is. And for all the tasks, you can run a classroom simulator in the browser. So you can kind of, it's easier for you to see how the set works. And I usually, when I create my own sets, as I will show you, I also like to test them in the classroom simulator to kind of see how it will look like.
And I think that's an important feature, because no teacher likes to run in and run a challenge for the first time without having simulated it or seen it. So this is going to show you exactly how to pace yourself. If you haven't used the platform before, starting with a simulation is going to give you a feel for what We Will Write is and how it works and what it does. So
yeah, and this simulator is very basic. It's one screen for the kind of the teacher and the classroom, and the other one is one of the students' screen. So students start off with typing in the pin code that you have created. So I can do that on my screen here, and I type the full name. And these names are associated with the student's text, but none of the students will see that. Only you as the teacher will know that. So if I join the game, I will turn up here. Yeah, here's my name, and I can, if some students write silly names, you can kick them out and they will have to write again. And this is something they only do once. So let's start with the 3 teams. So you see 8 of these are just bots writing silly things, but we'll get a hang of it. So we'll start a game, and we kind of randomly place students on 3 teams, and they, like, I know I'm part of the elephants, and there was somebody else adding here as well, I see. Okay, so as you see, the first challenge is presented with an image, and there is a prompt. There's also a timer here, and there is a criterion. So usually, as a teacher, I would start helping the students read the image. I would kind of point them to details like, oh, is this a lightning? What is the weather like? Is there something, what's happening here? I would kind of help them read the image a little bit. And then I would kind of encourage them to kind of look at the criterion, like this is suspense we're after. And then the timer is started and they can start writing. And as you see on the right here, there's a input field, a small box there where they can write. So I could, for example, say, and if I have problems starting, I can also click on this question mark, which gives me some ideas, like describe the sounds of the weather in the detail. I could do that if I have no ideas, and I can ignore it if I have ideas. So there was a late night.
I love that you can see how many words are being written as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a trigger for the students to see. When they see a lot of other students writing and numbers are running, they start running themselves. So,
and then, like, that's cool too, because as a teacher, like, you can start with a baseline of how kids do on the first activity set of, okay, as a class we wrote this many words. Let's push it up. Let's try to reach a new number of words written for our next set or our next activity. So that gamification of it, that tracking, I think is totally a motivator.
And I know a lot of teachers, because you also get the total sum at the end of the game when we kind of summarize all the text all the students have written. After several challenges, we also give them the number of how many words they've written. And I know a lot of teachers kind of compare that from day to day. So they can, we wrote 3,000 last time, let's beat it, kind of to encourage them. So I can also skip this. This is something you as a teacher will probably never do, because students really want those that all the time they can get. So, but I'll just skip it so we can go to the next phase. And then the student have a self-assessment. And the reason why we do this is because often if you have a writer's block or struggle, it as a timer there as well. So, okay, this is really, really quick. The next phase is reading and assessing, when each students get 2 of their teammates' texts. So I can see those here. In this simulator, it's just dummy text. But the concept here is that you read 2 of your teammates' text and you choose which one is most suspenseful. And for these texts, it's irrelevant, and you can vote, and you also can grade your vote. So if you're unsure, like, is it this or this, then you maybe only give it 1. But if you really like it, you can kind of give it a higher grading. Okay, and then we will see which text, it was actually that text was selected for the team. So now each of the 3 teams has a finalist, and you can see it here on the big screen. And as a teacher, I can also, if I find that some of the candidates is not a good answer for this task, I can actually replace it. So I have the power to kind of veto a text from a team, and then another team text will be selected. But this is a feature you hopefully will not use often, but it's a power.
I think the anonymity. Yeah, so I'm sorry to talk over. I think the anonymity of the groups, like randomly putting people into groups, kind of minimizes peers voting for their friends. They're actually focused because they don't know who's on their team. They're actually focused. Well, they're focused on the best from the team, but then they're not focused on who wrote it. It's the quality of the work.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So nobody knows, and the teacher, I don't know at this point either who has written these 3 finalists. And then we click on the text. And the idea is that the teacher reads the text out loud with passion and engagement. And I think it's important to kind of give the students something really positive instantly after you read it. And we also have some feedback here. ChatGPT analyzes the text, so you will be given some ideas of what kind of literary devices this text has. But this text is so simple, it's nothing there now. But you will see that down. So the idea is to read the text and give students feedback, and also take questions from the audience. If students have some instant feedback or want to discuss things, this is a great way to kind of do inductive learning, because this text is just produced and we can talk about theory and why this works. And we can click next. So we can also easily compare different team texts and talk about strong and weak parts of it, or why. For example, here you can see there is, for example, some adjectives here. So if we want to talk about specific things in the text, it's easy to light things up and talk about different devices. And we also see that students really love that if they write a really beautiful text, that it will get lots of rewards like this, because there is more devices, and that's always really interesting to talk about.
That's another motivator too. How many different literary devices or techniques can you use? And that could be another, you can have certificates or awards that you give out in your class for each writing set. Like, okay, you win the literary device award this class.
Yeah, and it's really nice when they kind of understand what kind of like this, the personification, when they understand what that is. We often see that in the next challenge, some students will try that out in a different way and with their own text. And I
love that AI does this for you, because as a teacher doing this on the fly, there are things that I would miss. And
it's my experience is also often some of the weak text is kind of hard to find positive things to say, but when you have some analysis, you can kind of start with that, and it kind of gets you going. So it's because a great student text is also much easier to talk about. Some of the weakers can be harder to kind of give good enough feedback to. So that's basically this is kind of where you as a teacher teach and explain how these texts and why they work or why not. And I have lots of, it's really nice to compare student texts and talk about different qualities. Why is this more scary? Why is this more comforting, like in the scene descriptions, etc. So that's it. And then I can start, the teacher controls when the voting starts. So at that moment, students can vote. So I cannot vote on my own text, but I can vote on my team, but I can vote on another team. And then we see they got the same amount of votes. So they get points, and we just summarize those points. And this kind of competition is, of course, really fun for the students, but it's kind of a framework for the writing platform, because the most important reward is to kind of have your text on the screen. Teacher reads your text and everybody talks about your text. Nobody knows who's written it. It's a fantastic experience for everybody.
And I love that you're also leveraging community construction of knowledge. One of the big scary things with devices is we don't want students to go off and work independently by themselves and not interact with the teacher or interact with students. This puts the teacher still as the facilitator, launching the activity, and they're learning constructively from their peers and from examples from actual writers in the classroom. And it gives teachers a pulse on each individual student's capabilities and where they might need some remediation and where the class might need some extra teaching as a whole.
Yeah. And it just ignites discussions about things. That's really nice. So, okay. So this is basically it. I don't think we need to kind of go through another task. You can see it's other criterion. Here is about imagination. So, I think that's the important thing to kind of, if the teacher can kind of inspire them, okay, what is imagination? Give some ideas. And then when the texts arrive, talk about which of these texts have most, why do we think this text is more imaginative than this one? That pulls off quite interesting discussions. And often we don't have to agree either. It's quite interesting for students to see that the classroom can create so many different perspectives and ideas and texts, and that there is not kind of a right answer. That's always very, very educational.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can you, one of the other cool things is there are these pre-made sets within We Will Write, but you can create your own custom sets based on different writing. So Daniel, could you kind of walk us through how to create a set?
Yes. So if you don't want to use any of these pre-made sets, you can go to My Sets, and I have some here, and I can create one from scratch. And the first thing I would do is to just add a challenge. And as you see, I have lots of all the challenges we have made in the libraries here. So you can kind of, for example, say, I want only access to the fiction ones, and maybe have, let's say, crime challenges. And here you can see you can have lots of, so maybe we'll have to we'll put together a crime set. This is with suspense. Maybe start with a descriptive scene first, maybe this one. And then I'll add another challenge with the same crime fiction. I will maybe...
I love that it's sorted by grade and topic as well.
Yeah, I can filter it. Most of the content is middle school at the moment. And we can also filter by time. So if you want kind of shorter or longer writing sessions. And you can also, we have different types of, so if I want to have plot, then I got kind of these things, like these are focusing on plot, what happened here. So they are action driven. And most students find those easier than character description, for example. So what happened here? So
the type is almost like related to the standard. So if teachers are focusing on a specific skill, they go to the type.
Yeah. So this could be one set, and maybe I need to give it a set, the intro to crime, maybe. Crime genre. I'll save it. And then I can, if I go to here, I have it. So this is my set. I can move it to a folder, or I can just edit it, or I can just start it and it will run. Like I can do this and then it will.
The question that's probably in everybody's heads right now that's tuning in is, Daniel, what if I want to make my own
Yeah,
activities from
if you
scratch?
want.
Can you
Yeah.
speak to that just a little bit on if that's a feature coming in the future? Or?
It's coming soon. We're working with, of course, we will let teachers create their own challenges, their own images, their own text, and adjust it and create things completely from scratch. But it's something we're working with, and it will be there soon. So at the moment, you can combine our challenges and adjust them, but you cannot upload your own images and text yet. So
the keyword is yet, but it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming soon. So
yes,
yeah, we know that's a very it's a high on our backlog.
Yeah, in my head, my brain went directly to like rewriting the ending of a story.
Yeah.
Like looking at or Frankenstein. Like if I'm teaching Frankenstein, it's October.
Yeah.
I love Frankenstein, and maybe we wanted them to write a letter from the monster to Victor, and have like some writing sets around books or around literary devices in it, even analyzing or replicating certain figurative devices from model text. So
Yeah, that's something you can do. But do you know? Are you asking if we could find that task now?
Oh no. Well, we can definitely spend some more time searching through. And I'm sure you like I've gone through. I've been playing around with creating my own sets. I did a Halloween themed exposition, like looking at creating like exposition writing with the
Can I have a
scene.
look?
Hmm?
Do you want to show it?
Sure. I would love to show it. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. Should I stop sharing?
You can, and then let me make sure I'm in the share screen. I'm in a simulation right now.
Yeah.
Here, I'll exit the simulation. So yeah, so this is my set. This was my Halloween set. And I just picked some of the creepier images, but I was thinking like, oh, if I'm teaching exposition and atmosphere and setting, this would be a great way, like leading up to introducing the problem. Like if we're looking at Freytag's like story arc.
Yeah.
So I have described the atmosphere. So we're getting the atmosphere. We're setting the mood of our text, kind of letting the reader know what to expect through the fog rolling in and what genre they're reading. Then a good description, describe the setting of the house in a way that creates curiosity and mood. And I love, like, as you click on each of these, you can see tips. Who lights up the attic? What sounds do you hear? Describe the appearance of the house. Is the house alive? One of my favorite writing units that I taught was actually we deconstructed, we looked at the bones of a horror film and like through the eyes of a protagonist and an antagonist. Like antagonists don't always have to be alive. They could be personifications or like houses or trees or, and then building tension step by step. And these are all teaching points. Is the house alive? You can talk about personification and bringing things to life that are inanimate. Building tension step by step. Now, what's going to happen? Like, how are we going to introduce a problem or a buildup? Like, how do we give that sense of suspense?
Yeah.
So why
it's very nice to have two students next and talk about the differences and like how you should kind of build slowly and not reveal too much, and maybe have a rhetorical question in the end and use these different devices to kind of create tension. It's very nice to compare different texts. And another thing, association I get when you show me this is that one of the nice things with this kind of short burst of writing, where they write for a short time, is that you have the ripple effect. Like you write one task and you get some ideas and the class share ideas, and it's easier and easier to write. We see that kind of if you do at least 3, you will get much better text the third time, if you do that in a row than on the first task. It's kind of, and I think it's part of kind of you warming up, and you also share ideas. So you kind of, it's just much easier for them.
100%. Like I know like writing groups are important, and we didn't do these a ton when I was in school, but when I got to college, we had these like writing critique groups, and this is essentially simulating that. Like you have that first challenge, it's shared, you see what your peers have written, and like you were saying, all of a sudden that that writer who is a little apprehensive or doesn't know where to start has been given 25 other examples of students in the classroom. So you're getting all the imaginations turning, and emulation is one of the best ways to teach writing. And sometimes our students will imitate each other. And I think that is a great way to constructively build knowledge as a community.
Yeah. And sometimes I also wrap up after a couple of challenges like this and talk with them about, it seems to be like there's kind of 4 or 5 story families, like story groups of ideas here. So it's a really good way to kind of start warm up for a session and then maybe work with the text further on. Yeah, you are clicking around. After a session, you will find your texts here. Yeah. And all the activities in the game will also be tagged in the text, so you can see which students' text got voted and who won the finalist and how the students were satisfied with their work, etc. All those things you'll find there, so you can track individuals.
Yeah. So I guess, do you have any student text in your platform?
No, not this one, because we just updated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially,
live, we could see, but
oh yeah, why don't we do that?
That takes some time. We probably have to have a short
just one short task. Yeah.
We could, for example, if we could remove this and maybe create a set with just one.
Perfect. Okay, so for those of you viewing in, we're going to launch this and you're going to participate in a live activity. You're going to take the pin code and you're going to put it in to join it. We have about 50 people in right now. So a good simulation or a good activity runs with 9. You need pretty much at least 9 students. Start with 3 teams. If you guys want to join, I'm going to drop that link and the join code in the chat.
Yeah, so if you go to that URL, joinwewillwrite.com, and type in
9934.
We could have it there. That's one. Carry on.
Yay.
Let's see if we have more.
I'm going to join in as well.
I could join with a different browser. Okay.
I love that there's no logins, that it's as simple as using a pin code.
Yeah, and I have to say, the reason why we use both names is also because we have a filter. So if students write text with any student names, we filter them out. So there's not can't bully your fellow students with names.
All right, we need 2 more wonderful volunteers to showcase their writing talents.
2 more. Let's see. I could join us. Okay, there's 9 students, Sam and Stella. Okay, then we'll start with 3 teams. And the more students you have in, the more teams there will be. So it will increase to 4 and 5 teams based on the number of students. So let's start with 3 teams. And ready for the first task? It's a crime story, and we're describing it's the atmosphere we are trying to convey here. So use your senses and describe the feeling of moving here from the big city. describe the atmosphere of this coastal town.
Okay.
And it's just 2 minutes, so it's quite short. And this gives me association to the UK, actually. And these typical crime stories from these rural areas. Okay, so now we are... And we can see somebody's already starting to write here. And what's nice, since we try to kind of make the flow of this experience to be really on the students' pacing, what they like. But you as a teacher can walk around at this moment when everybody is writing. There might be students who need some attention or help. And so that's what I typically do. I walk around and see if there's somebody. And I also peek to look at what they're writing. So I'm a little bit prepared for presenting afterwards. Okay, so that's half time. We give the students a little bit warning. When it's 30 seconds left, we blink their screen. So we don't disturb them too much, but we kind of give them a clue that its time is soon over. Did you get the blinking, Amanda?
Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I'm still writing.
Yep. And what a typical response when the time runs out is like us to say, "Oh no, I should have more time." And for me, that's a good sign when they're really motivated. So.
Okay.
So now you can self-assess, your kind of give feedback to, and this feedback the teacher can read in the reports. So, and that can be quite interesting to see if some students are not very satisfied with themselves. That could be interesting to talk about. Why is that? And now each of the students get 2 texts. You got 2 texts to read, Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, I'm voting now.
Yeah, was it easy or was it, did you give it?
Which text is the most atmospheric? So I'm in and I'm reading. Ooh, now as the sun was rising, he finally started. Yeah, so this is fun. It's fun seeing what other people wrote.
Yeah, let's see who. Okay, so here's the 3 texts, and I'm not going to replace anything. I'm going to read and assess. So this is the first text. The sound of waves crashing all night kept Cyril awake. Now, as the sun was rising, he finally started to get sleepy and was just drifting off as the mist started to roll in off the ocean. Okay, very nice. And you can see here we have it's called onomatopoeia. I actually don't know exactly.
Onomatopoeia.
Is this wave crashing all night? Is that
crash, crash, crunch, woo, and whoosh?
It's the sound. Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah, of course, that's what it is. So that's interesting. Yeah, and there's a sleepy. Yeah, that's and there's a person who can. The mist started to roll in. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. It is a really frightening atmosphere of darkness, strange noises and shapes. Shadow seems to haunt my place, and I'm starting to think I wish I were all a nightmare. Okay, nice, and it's some internal dialogue here. I'm starting to think.
I love that, because that's one of the literary devices I wouldn't think to point out. You know, like we typically focus on adjectives, metaphors, similes, but internal dialogue can sometimes fall off.
Yeah, and it's the dialogue is not always with the the correct time setting. What's that? Yeah. So and here's a metaphor. Shadow seems to haunt my place. Yeah, this is nice. Okay, let's take the last one. The street was quiet as the fog rolled in off the sea. The sky was grey, and the glow of the streetlights left a feeling of impending doom. Who knows what is hiding the gloom? Okay, and we have some foreshadowing.
Oh, foreshadowing. Yeah.
That's cool. So, and as we talked about, this is kind of, we made this to make it as a communication tool for teachers and students to kind of talk about the text, but it's perceived as rewards. Students really, and what I find cool is when they see things they don't understand, they ask kind of what is foreshadowing, and then it's so tempting to kind of, then you as a teacher can spend a lot of time talking about it. You can kind of share your knowledge and talk about theory because then you have that. So that's very nice. Okay, let's.
Just from a teacher's perspective as well, having taught writing, sometimes we just miss things, and I love that it just has it there. It has all these discussion points. It gives you an entrance to have that conversation by highlighting those literary devices and features.
Yeah, and I think it's a philosophy use. We use AI to kind of encourage discussion and kind of to kind of empower dialogue, and we don't use AI to help students write. It's more help their thinking and help their learning.
And it's taught in context. So instead of teaching these terms in isolation, like I love that it's teaching these terms in context or examples.
Yeah. And I had a teacher who kind of told me just last week that he had a student that said when he was teaching one of these theoretical terms, like metaphor, I think it was, like he said, yes, I remember you taught us that in We Will Write. So he had kind of a connection with the theory and the experience in the tool, which I really like to hear that they're actually remembering these things. Okay, should we start voting?
Sure.
Let's see. I have my and that's the cool thing. I usually, when I use this as a teacher, I tell my preferences. I share why I like a text, and sometimes students agree with me, and other times they vote completely different, and that's also quite interesting to discuss with them. Okay, so it was quite a tight race, and
just so you know, I'm a giraffe.
Okay.
I was on the winning team that round.
Yeah, and we always end up each set. We end up with this scroll text with all the students' texts. And if you have done lots of challenges, it will be quite long. You will kind of scroll for a while, and we kind of summarize some of the stats. So maybe now we can go into the text tool and show the reports.
And as a teacher on my whiteboard, like I love to take data and kind of put it up, and I'd have as the class, like have the class beat their next goal. So the class was 256 words, 9 texts. Like now let's push it. Let's see if we can beat our last set's word count. So
yeah, cool.
All right.
So let's go into the portal again.
Yes, let's see how the dashboard works.
Yeah. I have to do that, I think.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. I didn't know. I was actually. So I'm a bit slow today. So here I can see
the date and the topic.
Yeah, and I can kind of download everything if I want that. And I can go into each student and I can see, okay, this was a finalist. And Heather was satisfied with this text, even though, well, maybe a little bit short. And we can also see that she also explained why she was satisfied. It was a fun task. You can see yours. Yeah. That was a blank one. And this is the winner. Had lots of ideas, yeah. So this is basically the report at the moment. So, and we're working to kind of give give teachers also reports on progress over time, but that will come later.
And just another mention at the end, it gave me the option to copy my text to a clipboard. So after the activity, if you want to extend that and you want students to continue writing on it outside of the game, they can copy their text and save it in a Google Doc or wherever.
Yeah, so they can, and I see some teachers kind of ask the teams to kind of continue with a common text, or you can have individual students kind of continue, kind of maybe write the texts complete with correct grammar and things like that, and then share it back to the teacher. Or you want to put it into book creator or something cool to work with, kind of more the design and creative part of the content. So there's lots of possibilities here.
Yeah, I love the idea of starting a writing activity this way and starting as a community and then letting them venture out individually or in small teams to continue. So
yeah,
just great. Or even having them do a different task that's centered around the specific strategy or standard that you're working on. For example, atmosphere or plot or conflict. So taking those and then applying them to something, using this as a practice tool or using this as the lesson plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's and it's possible to kind of use it quite quickly with just a couple of challenges, or you can use it for a whole session with maybe 5 challenges. And so there's lots of ways you can kind of use it in your teaching.
Well, we are almost at that point where we need to wrap up. Did you want to kind of talk about the ambassador program?
Yeah, we're opening up the ambassador program now. So if you want to become an ambassador, we would really like to hear from you. We will share more detail, but basically we have some requirements which you can read more about on our webpage later, and we will of course work with teachers who can kind of help us kind of improve the tool and show us how to use it even better. So do you want to tell a little bit more about the ambassador program?
Yeah, so I put the link in the chat. So if you guys are interested in applying, feel free to do that. So the ambassador program, you're going to get access to new features. And I'm telling you, the feature that's coming soon that I'm excited for is being able to create your own sets. So you definitely want to apply to have early access to that. Being able to share what you're doing in the classrooms. You have opportunities to win swag and just lead and be part of a wonderful community, in addition to sharing We Will Write at conferences within your district. There's a lot of incentives for you to spread the word and just become more involved. Your voice, like the ambassadors, there will be some product meetings, I'm sure, where feedback and wanted features will be suggested. Anything that you can kind of imagine or dream up for We Will Write, I'm sure the team will listen and try to implement those feature requests. So
yes, so it's really nice to get some feedback from real classrooms. That's really nice.
Because this is brand new. You're launching the beta group now, so
so it's really new. So we got lots of attention now. So it's nice to see, and we're learning a lot by by having it in use. That's really, really nice.
And because you guys joined today, you guys have a leg up on others. Because it's fairly new, this is the first webinar on We Will Write. It's showcasing the platform. And now that you've seen how to use it, you've participated or watched a simulation and a live demo, you're equipped to kind of go into your classrooms and start using it now. But we definitely want you to use it on October 21st. So October 20th is National Writing Day. And on October 21st, we put together a National Write-a-thon or Global Write-a-thon. The idea behind this is to use We Will Write to get to get or engage students in writing activities across the globe. It is on October 21st. That's a Monday. And to share your classroom's writing triumphs and earn official certificates of participation. So we'll have a registration link for you later where you can register your classroom, and your students will provide you with certificates that you can give them for, finalists and a We Will Write round, most words written, most literary devices. There's a couple of certificates you can give in addition to a certificate of participation for participating in our National Write-a-thon Day. And then also sharing your classroom's experience on socials. There'll be some swag that'll be sent out for educators that do a really great job at hosting or implementing We Will Write in their classrooms. So Heather says she's excited to see this program grow. Daniel, do you know Heather? She's an amazing educator in Texas. And Heather, we definitely want you for the ambassador program. You should run and apply like right now, because she'll have some great insights and feedback, and she does amazing things with her students. And then the last thing is We Will Write's hosting webinars all the way up until that write-a-thon every Wednesday. So next Wednesday on October 9th, it's From Words to Wisdom, empowering students with story-driven writing and inductive learning. And Erland is the head of pedagogy for We Will Write, is going to be joining us. And it's at 3 p.m., 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same time. So we hope that you will register for that. And again, I'm going to drop that link in the chat for you, so you can go ahead and start registering for these awesome opportunities to learn more. And next week, I'm really excited to hear what Erland has to say and how he's using it. But the link is in the chat.
Cool. He's a fun guy, so look forward to that one.
All right. Well, Daniel, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate your insights and this amazing platform that you built. Again, gosh, I wish I would have had it when I was teaching writing. It's amazing. It's fun. We've seen students ask for it. Like, hey, when are we going to write? They connect from the platform to other classroom activities. So there's transference of skills going on. And it's just a great way to get rid of the groans when it's like, pull out your pencil. We're gonna instead of drop everything and read, drop everything and write, or do a time writing. These are time writings in micro chunks, and it makes it fun and it's gamified. And there's no reason to not sign up and to test it out with your classroom.
Yeah, looking forward to get feedback.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for joining us on another episode of the Hitchhiker's Guide for Educators. You can't stay here. You got to go somewhere else because we're ending the stream. But we can't wait to see on socials how you guys are using this. Tweet it out. Share We Will Write with your friends. Tell everyone in your building. This isn't just for English teachers. Writing it happens across the curriculum. So there are ways to build sets in different content areas. And we can't wait to see how you guys implement this and share your stories with us on social media, and tag at We Will Write on X. Join or follow their Facebook page, We Will Write Facebook page. Check them out on LinkedIn. Wherever you live online, they are too. So you guys have a wonderful Wednesday, and we hope to see all of you next week. But more importantly, we hope to see you join the ambassador program and see your classrooms leveraging the wonderful We Will Write willpower. We will. We will. So have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.